the followers of different religion. And if you look into the tribals custom, particularly their belief system, is mostly associated with the Hinduism and traditional religion, their own religion. And most of the non-tribal community of Tripura settled in the plain areas, whereas most of the tribal groups of the tribal communities settled in the urban areas. And if you look into their particularly as you're talking about now, occupation, it is they're also into the basket making, general women with the clothes, as well as if you look into their house structure, it is constructed through the local methods, whether it is wood, bamboo, or the grasses. And if you look into the major tribal, particularly Tirpuri, Ringa, and Jamate tribes are the major important tribal group in Tripura. And if you look into the Tripuri tribe as one of the major tribal group found in Tripura, it is scattered around the Tripura Valley, you can talk about, and particularly it is mostly if you look into their some particularly settlement in the particularly West Tripura district. And according to 2011 census, around 5 lakh, around 6 lakh Tripuri tribal group are residing in Tripura. And the socio-economic life of this Tripuri tribe is really divided into major two groups, namely Puran Tripuri and Desi Tripuri, and the former, the Purani Tripuri, what they called, original inhabitant of the state of Tripura, whereas their title generally called Brave Burman. They belong to Indo-Chinese racial group or Tibeto-Burman racial group, whereas the Desi Tripuri, what they call, are said to have originated as a result of mixture of the racial group between Bengali Hindus and Tripuri. So it is the second one, what they called the Desi Tripuri. They are a mixture of Bengali as well as Tripuri. And if you look into their diet structure of the food, they are mostly non-vegetarian. And rice is considered as a staple food among them, and they found raw tea and particularly alcohol, the local created alcohol drinks, and the most, if you look into other tribal group, but this Tripuri tribal group actually they have another additional tobacco consumption. They particularly just smoke tobacco, chew bitterness, leaves regularly, which is one of the major feature you can add. And land is considered as a major so because mostly cultivate and settled cultivation as well as cultivation you will find among this Tripuri community. And generally those who are main person, they are more excelled in the bamboo sweater making, while women are more associated with the weaving or embroidery work. And if you look into the lineage structure, the particularly it is mostly patriarchal nature, and particularly there is supposed to be regular marital alliance between different community, and community are most endogamous, and you can talk about. And generally, when talking about marriage, there is marriage take place with the negotiation and a mutual consent of both the parents and family members. And the belief system of this Tirupuri profession actually is mostly Hinduism. They believe in Hinduism, and few of them have adopted the Christianity. And Gadiya Puja is one of the famous festival that is celebrated by Tirupuri community, and particularly uh, 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 particularly if you look into their festival, actually this is the Garuda Puja, the oldest festival recorded, and there are other festival as well as Kok Barok they also talked about, and Myloma, Kulma. These are the Ostrich at the house as household dates. So while Mati Kata is the supreme deity they talked about, those who officiate the marriage or death, of those who are actually, you can talk about the priest normally, and normally come from their outside of the community. They are not belong to their community. And there is another tribe called Ringa tribe, and this Ringa tribe actually also called as Rianga, is a well-known tribal community in Tripura state, and it is believed that this Ringa community actually migrated from particularly Chittagong Hill of Bangladesh and are particularly distributed all over the Tripura state, and maximum concentration of this population you can found in the Tripura district, South Tripura district itself. And their socioeconomic profile, if you look into, and they can easily be identifiable on the basis of their ornament they wear, particularly both male and female, and most of the staple food is they call, mostly it is also the staple food is the rice. And one of the major food items they add in their basket is the bamboo soup. I think you all have heard of what is they called mawai, mawai, and it is the bamboo soup. It is their favorite dish they talked about. As well as they also drink alcohol and smoking loose tobacco as well as one of their favorite smoking habit. They also mention so makoti, bamboo pipe, so bamboo. So bamboo is one of the element you can find in the aspect in their lifestyle. And shifting cultivation also practice for their economic sources, for their economic activities. And beside that, they also rear pigs as considered as this is the subsidiary income for them. And their main actually excel in basket making, and with women are more associated with weaving clothes. And there are several particularly social division we find in this community. They call the Pangi or the clan they refer to. And they practice endogamy form of marriage at the community level. And marriage within the same clan is permitted, but if I'm marrying outside clan, it is prohibited. Junior sororate, what we call the Sali Vibhav, and that actually practice among the particularly this community. And while talking about the marriage or selection of mates, and they actually with the negotiation they consider with the mutual consent of the individuals. And every village has a chief in their villages, and they call them a chaudhuri, normally settle divorce cases, who settle actual divorce cases. And it is a patriarchal family you will find in this community, and patrilineal succession in the context of inheritance. And they believe particularly mostly in Hinduism, and they worship the goddess of wealth. They call this Makla Goma, who is the goddess of wealth, and goddess of prosperity, they Subrogama. And at the village level, they worship Toima, goddess of big river, because they settled in the riverside, river basin, who is supposed to ensure peace at the community level. So they have different uh, goddess for different occasions and different aim and objective, and they avail services of particularly those who offer prayer. Actually, they called as Okchari for their ritual activities. And animal sacrifice as well as alcohol consumption are important feature in their worship. Okay, so without animal sacrifice or without taking alcohol, they cannot perform it, or there should not be in worship. And BC Puja, one of the major festival of the puja, is considered to as the main festival of their community. And there is another tribe they called it Jamitya tribe, and particularly this tribal group lived in Udaipur and Amarpur subdivision of South Tripura district. And if you look into their population, which is around 80,000 80,000 population in the Jamaica community, and approximately they spread around 6,000 villages in the state of Tripura. And they also speak that they have their own language called is Kukborko, and their socioeconomic life usually, particularly if you look into their marriage structure, it is once again on the basis of negotiation, selection of mate, which is based on negotiation between the mutual consent of the family members. And it is peculiar to note that the bridegroom generally junior to the bride, they consider it is important, as well as the monogamy is the general rule. They never follow polygamy forms of marriage. And though they find one or two cases you will find in the polygamy actually rarely permitted by their senior citizens. A widow can marry, but a widow cannot marry a unmarried person. They have to marry a widow person only. They have different type of village structure, and they divide into three type. One is that Luko, then Maya, then Harder Council. They divide their village structure like this, and accordingly their affairs of community member are settled down by this three-tier system. And their belief, and if you look into, they are mostly Hindus. They influenced by Vaishnavism, and particularly they worship Shiva, Durga, and Hindu deities particularly. And each village has a priest to observe all the rituals in the village, and they called as Ojai, and he is the religious head and perform all the functional rituals in that village. And there is another tribal group called Chakma, one of the major tribal group, and around 80,000 population belongs to this tribal group in particularly settled in this Tripura. And Chakma means generally, if you look into the socioeconomic strata, they were lifestyle, they were dhoti and shirt, women generally wear pin-on, lungi sketching forms of waist to ankles, they call this, and there is a concept of adi and a long narrow piece of cloth covering the particularly from the body. And rice is considered as the one sitting the staple food, and they are much more influenced by Buddhist ideology. But they eat fish and meat as well, except beef. And they have local drink they called rice beer, kanji. And they also there another rice beer wood. They which was actually fermented, particularly made from the fermented rice and nuts. Okay, and community practice with rice cultivation, certain cultivation, and communities endogamous in nature divide in various clan or bojas they talked about, which are neither exogamous nor endogamous. Marriages are once again arranged through the negotiation, and particularly with the mutual consent of the bride and groom as well as the parties or the family. And this Chakma group actually, which is patrilineal as well as patrilocal. So the inheritance as well as the marriage actually settle down from the patrilineal and patrilocal side. And succession, the inheritance of property is also patrilineal. There is a strong belief or bond between the members of the community of these Chakmas. And they consider unity in nature, and unity is better for them, they consider, and the women do not inherit any paternal property as it is a society of patrilineal, and they have no, the women also don't have any political rights or affair in that community, and particularly they worship Lord Buddha, and they also worship Lakshmi, Lord Vishwakarma, Goddess Kali. Mostly they are observing the Hindu deities. And if you look into the festivals, particularly Buddha Purnimas, they are worshipping Lord Buddha. So mostly the Buddha Purnima, Kartik Purnima, Bisu, Biku, these are the major festival they celebrate. And there is another tribe in Tripura that is called Halon tribe. And this Hallam tribe actually they consider is the earliest settlers in Tripura district. Sorry, in Tripura state, and Hallam are reported to have been furious people who used to kill strangers, those who are coming to their area or enter to their geographical region. And these Hallam settlements are distributed all over Tripura in time, scatteredly, with a maximum concentration in the South Tripura regions. And according to 2011 census, if you look into, around 60,000 population belongs to this tribal community, and they are non-vegetarian in nature, and they eat, though they are non-vegetarian, but they did not eat particularly beef. Rice is once again the staple for these communities. Smoking loose tobacco is common among the community member, and they also drink the particularly homemade rice beer, what is they call jukla, and which is considered also as one of the favorite drink among the people of localites. And If you look into the economic life, they mostly depend upon the hills and the forest for the daily activity, for their livelihood, for their income, for their earning. Okay. As well as their economic activity of these people consist of gathering wild vegetables, particularly roots, tubers, hunting of small animals, weaving basketry, as well as they practice zone cultivation, one form of educational activity. And communities endogamy in nature, and the most popular mode of acquiring a mate or marriage when we talk about it is always negotiation and through elopement, and monogamy is general form of marriage you will find among these Alma communities. And according to Hallmark custom, the belief and the custom particularly look into pregnant women are not allowed to toss the body of the deceased. Like that, there is other restriction. Particularly, they have good number of restriction while talking about religious ceremony. And one of they follow Hinduism, and at the family level, they worship various deities. They talked about goddess Rakshakali is delivered protect the community from the calamities or disasters. And there is another Kher Puja is the most important festival they consider Kher Puja among the Halam group, and no outsider is allowed into the venue of any puja. If they perform any puja in their community, no outsider is allowed to enter that particular venue. And this tribal actually consists of several clans, and some of them are Kolai, Kudu, Ulam. Okay, then there is around different sub tribal group among these tribal groups. So there is another tribal, Notia tribe, and uh, they also considered as the earliest settler in the Tripura. And interestingly, particularly, if you look into this tribal group, none of them use the word Notia because it is considered Notia newcomer. So generally, they did not refer Notia in their day-to-day activity. Instead, they use once again the Tiripuri or Tripura. And they are also found in Assam and Bangladesh. They speak Kokoburku language. And the socioeconomic profile of this Notia tribal groups actually, they are non-vegetarian in diet, but they, as the tribal group, they also did not take beef, and rice is once again the staple food among this Notia tribal group. And particularly, they love to eat dry fish, and they called the dry fish as akran. And homemade alcohol is also their favorite drink. They prefer to drink homemade alcohol. Smoking loose tobacco is also one of the practice they follow. And generally, they cultivate the land in the Tirisha and the hill terrain area, and they have different clan system. There is no hierarchy or inequality you will find among the different groups of Notia communities. They practice community endogamy and class sexual particularly. You'll find once again the junior sorority and junior liberate. Means Debar Vibha and Sali Vibha you will find particularly in this community. And once again, the mode of acquiring a mate or marriage take place with the negotiation and the consent. And they generally once again believe the Hinduism and worship the Lakshmi and for wealth, Ganga for peace, Lampra for food. So different deities for different activity, different social nature. You can talk about different social functions, and Bursa is worshipped for warding off the evil spirit inside in the village. So another god is Bursa, which is worshipped for particularly to warding off throughout the evil spirit from the village or from the society. And the priest name is called Achari who perform all the pujas in the village as well as the religious festivals. So if you look into there are other tribal group you find in Tripura as well, like Bhil tribe, then there is a Kuki Darlong tribe, there is a particularly Mog tribe, Mog also called as Mag, different name they have, and uh, particularly these are the particularly in number they are very few, and particularly this Mog tribe have around, though it is very few, not few, but it is around 37,000 more people are there in, according to 2011 census. And mostly, if you look into the Tripura, they are mostly non-vegetarian and they did not eat actually beef. And however, their staple food is rice is kind. And there is another tribe, Uchul tribe. There is another Uchul tribe. There are also Santal, Munda, and Uran tribe lives there. And particularly in the forest region, this Santal, Munda, Uran tribal or particularly Tripura, they lived in the forest regions and different forest divisions like Hawaii, Kamlapur, southern sub-region of Tripura. They are migrated from other parts of the India like from the North Bengal as well as Bengal. So if you look into Santal Mundara, you can find this tribal group in the particularly Jharkhand, Bihar as well. So most of them migrated to this region and they work in the tea gardens of Assam as well as they will find tea garden of Tripura. And they have their own Sardar, and they have their own leader. And they have also council Sardar who have, they call it Mandal, who decide everything on behalf of their society. And if you look into the whole Tripura and the tribal group, and the major tribal group as we are discussing, Tiripuri, Ringa, Sakma, Halma, and Otia. And there are also good number of minor tribal, like we can talk about uh, Santal, Munda, Uran, or particularly Moog. So there are other tribal group with small number in population, and especially the Tirupuri, especially the Puran Tirupuri, and consider themselves to be the original, the native people they consider, while other tribal have migrated from other parts of the state or the country. Our tribal population in the Tripura was considered to around 32% or 31%. And each of the tribal has own distinct culture, but if we summarize, mostly they are socioeconomic profile associated with the forest or the shifting cultivation. However, if you look in the particular thing like alcohol consumption, homemade alcohol consumption, tobacco consumption is a primary thing in this culture, particularly as one of the habits or culture or the custom we can talk about among these tribal groups of Tripura as well as most follow Hinduism, Hinduism and its belief system and its customs in their daily today activity as well as different functions, and they have their own cultural habit or custom, habit, language, religious, and particularly mostly dominating language. If you look into of this tribal, it is the Bengal. So as it is here the border with Bengal as well, particularly Bangladesh, as well as some part is the Bengal. So they are mostly influenced by the Bengali language. And if you look into the tribes of Sikkim particularly, there are a few important tribes if you look into Lepcha, Bhutia, Magar, Tamang, and other Nepali tribes are also you'll find in Sikkim. And 1 minute. Okay. So if you look into the Sikkim particularly, so there are various ethnic groups or प्रजातिगत जो हम बोलते हैं ना, तो we'll find different ethnic groups have their own nomenclature of they particularly we call them Nepalis as it is Sukhing or new home, while Tibetan refer to it is referred to Sikkim as Deojang or the Valley of Rice. To the Lepcha, they called it the original inhabitants of the Sikkim, and the population Sikkim is around 6 lakhs around. And if you look into there are 4 districts, and if you look into the particularly the people, it is simple and modest in nature. They take so much pride for their culture and belief system. There are majorly 3 ethnic groups live in Sikkim, namely Lepcha, Bhutia, and Nepalis. And Nepali consider around particularly uh, uh, 70% of the 75% of the Sikkim, and Nepal is particular, and Lecce are considered originally inhabitants of the state, and other two group are migrated. Actually, Nepalis are migrated, Bhutia are migrated to the state, and Bhutia came from Tibet, while Nepalis migrated from Nepal. according to 2011 census, and around 34% tribal mm, people lived in this state out of total population of the state. And around, if you look into the Bhutia from 33%, around 33% also from Bhutia. Lepcha considered 20%. However, Nepal is around 50%. Nepali tribes are at around 50%. And Nepalis, they consider was the uh, last to migrate to the Sikkim, and but they gained their recognition very soon as one of the tribal group, which is, and if you consider Nepalis as well, they particularly comprise around 75% of the total population, entire population of Sikkim. And though they are not considered as tribal Nepalis, but though some of the groups have been accorded tribal status or scheduled tribal status in recent years, so that's why they are called one of the tribal group. And so there are three major languages you can talk about in the state, that is Lepcha, Bhutia, and Nepali as well. And Nepali has now become lingual fluency of the state they talk about. Everyone speak Nepali in that state, and Lepcha Bhutia language belong to the Tibeto-Burman group or linguistic family. And there are other languages spoken, particularly Limbu, Rai, Tamang, Magar. And in particularly Sikkim, Buddhism and Hinduism, these are the two major religious belief system you will find among the tribal group. However, Christian, Sikh, or Jains is also, or Muslim you also um, found among this region. And if you look into the Lepcha, right, Lepcha are originally inhabitant of the Sikkim or the Darjeeling hills also they talked about. They are mostly centered around the central part of the Sikkim. They lived in Sikkim was before the Bhutia or the Nepalese came to the state by through migration. And particularly, the Lepcha are often referred to as Rongpa, which means ravine people. The term Lepcha is mispronounced sometimes. They call Lapchi, name given to the Nepalese dweller. And but their name refer to the son of Snow Peak, the son of God, mother of beloved children. So they have different names. And if you look into the religious beliefs and social customs, so the original faith of this Lepcha people is called Bongotheism, a sort of Zoroastrianism or monotheism, particularly. It is also called the culture or the bone cult of the moon religion. And the religion is sort of particularly mixture of supernatural powers. And the ancient Lepcha worship the nature particularly. So they worship river, they worship lake, they worship mountain, they worship forest. So the creation of particularly the creation is attributable to the Itmo. Itmo they refer to the ancient mother or husband particularly. And the father was maintain order of the creation, which was attributed the female deities actually. So it is referred to Itmo as well. So this Lepcha tribal community also have they have various festival, and one of the major festival of this Lepcha community actually Namsong, and which is popularly known as Lesong as well. This festival mark in the beginning of the new year particularly, and which is usually the time when the farmer reaches or the celebrate of their harvest. So once again, these tribal groups celebrate their festival most of the time when they associated with agricultural activity or harvest or sowing. And let's say live mostly in this particularly mostly also they associated with the trade as well as agriculture. Their favorite crop they consider as the paddy and cultivation of orange and cardamom. Okay. There are excellent weavers as well as make fine and excellent travel cloth. They are also exporting bamboo and cane weaving system. Okay. And with regard to marriage, and particularly they have custom of polyandry and the tradition of bride price they have to pay. For lecture marriage among men and women at the same time is particularly it is possible and acceptable. particularly, but whereas Agita or Pusto is prohibited among them, marriage among the sons and daughter and sister brother is you will find one form of cross cousin marriage in this community. And regarding inheritance of status, particularly, the member of family have the following properties like ancestral properties, they refer to Athayu, the self-acquired property, they refer to Athayul. So Athai is practiced by among the member of the family, which is the ancestral property actually. But Athai, which is self-acquired, is retained by the member, generally a member of the due to acquire that. So the whether it is son or grandson, success in ancestral property, it is a patrilineal as well, patrilocal in nature. There is another tribe that lives in Sikkim, that is Bhutia tribe, and Bhutia sometimes spelled or pronounced like Bhutia. It is derived from the original habitant of Bhuth, which is referred to Tibet. And Bhutia tribe has several sub-tribal groups like Tukpa, Bhuttesni, Bhutia, Champubia, like that. And Bhutia actually migrated to Sikkim since to be and has settled in 16th century in Sikkim. Particularly the migration took place continuously in many phases. So different routes you can talk about, through particularly northern and western passes of Sikkim. And Bhutia are distributed in the four major districts of Sikkim, but their main concentration is in the North Sikkim, and they live in the hilly terrain and in a high altitude as well as the cold climate. So you look into there, you find high rainfall, medium snowfall, as well as the humidity present in their environment, as well as they live in the Jains forest. They speak their own language, which they call is Bhutia, and they refer to Tibetan script. And majority of the people also can speak also Nepali. So whether it is Tripura or Sikkim, you will find Nepali one of the language among the tribal communities. And their religion and belief system, particularly, they believe in Buddha, particularly they follow the Buddhism. In fact, if you look into the Sikkim, in the wake of spiritual way of Buddha or the Buddhism is later at the 17th century. And as regard to dress pattern culture, Bhutia men wear ko is one of the primitive form of wearing the dresses or the traditional dresses. And it is called a long sleeve coat with belt or kira. And the same way, when women wear the sleeveless coat and along with a blouse with long sleeves. And if you look into the property inheritance structure of these tribal groups and this Bhutia tribal group particularly, and it is a main source of conflict from them when transferring the property from one generation to other between the brothers or particularly while particularly transferring the property. As a rule of inheritance, we talked about property is inherited only by the son. So, they once again follow the same method of other tribal groups, like you can talk about patrilineal and patrilocal forms. So, son get equal share, expect youngest because who generally stay youngest of the house and look after the house, look after the particular mother, father, sister. That's why they entitled to little extra property than other group. And generally, one of the sons will become the monk, but he will also get a share of property. And succession or inheritance is by eldest son is particularly feasible. And in festival religious ritual, the families come together. So they have a unity you can talk about. Then there is another type, Magar tribe. This Magar tribe actually is one of the Nepali tribe actually found in Sikkim. They live in mainly South Sikkim as well as other districts, but very scatteredly. And Magar villages are situated in the forest slopes, hill slopes, and this community is divided into number of exogamous as well as patrilineal castes, namely Ulami, Alka. So they have different exogamous forms of or patrilineal forms of particularly community member and or subgroup we can talk about. And all of them have equal status in their society. No one is superior, no one is inferior. They speak their own language. They called it Magri, Mogri dialect, and at home particularly, but while communicating with the localites, they follow the Nepali language. And one of the streets they follow is the also Devanagari. The main, if you look into the religious or cultural festival or the customs, particularly the main function of these communities is the Thar. It is a regulative marriage alliance they talked about, and each of the Thars or the marriage alliance might have one or more gotras. So they can marry in different gotras. Marriage alliances are made on the basis of patrilineal ancestral gotras. So gotra, they give more importance to gotra while marriage ceremonies or any function. And if you look into their lifestyle, it is so simple. They are so polite. They are so hospitable, particularly in the context if someone is visiting their houses. So, as a new, they generally follow the nuclear family structure is the most prevalent structure among the members of this community. There is another tribal group they call Tamang tribe, and like Magar tribal group, Tamanga is also a Nepali tribe because within Nepal tribe there are different subtribes, and within this tribe, these are the major tribal group that has importance in the particularly Sikkim. And this Taman tribe particularly is derived from Tibetan word Ta plus monk. Ta means horse warrior. So generally it is means Ta and Mong means horse warrior. So in Sikkim, Tamang occupy a important position among the tribe of Sikkim, and their entire community, the Tamang community, is vertically divided into several groups known as Thars. Means they have different clans, and all these clans are exogamous in nature. But each clan member, the member of his clan or the particular Thars, can intermarry. They can marry within their clan group, and other clan expect in the case of two clan. Okay, there are two clan, Glory and Dom. They cannot marry within their clan. So if you look into their marriage structure, once again, a Tamang man can marry a girl from any clan, except the highlighted two, and they prefer marriage between the cross region. They refer to that, and that is like one mother's brother's daughter, father's sister's daughter means you will find the parallel cousin marriage, and a widow can marry her late husband, younger brother, but not elder brother. So this is one form of social system they follow. And polyandry is absolutely prohibited in this among this community, but there are few cases polygamy found some among the rich men, those who have wealth. And there are other Nepal tribes, Limbu, there is another tribe, and there is Gurgaon, another tribe, Rai, another tribe. So you will find good number of Nepalese tribe actually, because Nepal is a broad tribal group. Within that, there are few tribal group who have acquired the status of civil tribe in India, like Gurgaon, Rai, or particularly when you talked about Limbu, when you talked about particularly Tomang, or when you particularly talked about the Magar tribes of Nepalis. So if you look into this, particularly Sikkim as well, so uh, particularly Lipcha, Bhutia, and Nepali are the major tribal communities reside in Sikkim or scattered around the Sikkim. And the Lipcha consider themselves to be the original inhabitant or the native people of Sikkim, whereas the particularly the Bhutia and Nepalese consider migrated from outside, and a Nepali community, which is not strictly a tribal community, authors argue or the scholars argue, but they constitute around 75% of the tribal population of the state. Well, besides Licha and Bhutia, there are others tribal group as we are discussing. They are associated with mostly of the Nepal community, and each of these tribal group in Nepal, okay, sorry, in Sikkim, has its own culture, custom, belief system. They have their own language, religion, and mostly they follow the Hinduism. And the language mostly they speak Nepali, and particularly which has become the lingual friends of Sikkim. So most of the Sikkim people speak particularly Nepali. As to the religious affiliation when I talked about, we notice many of the tribal group follow the traditional religion like naturalism, worshipping particularly land, water, forests, mountains. However, we look into other parts as well as we also find the one of Buddhism, Hinduism, as well as latest is some of community have followed Christianity as well. So besides Christianity, Sikkim particularly other religion like Sikh or Muslim also found in the state. So if you look into particularly Sikkim, and one of the major thing you can look into this Sikkim and northeast region particularly, you'll find that their lifestyle as well as their particularly culture depend upon the forest and land-based resources and forest-based resources. But last in the last Tripura and Sikkim can find different type of culture and form. We can talk about alcohol, one of the important element, being a non-vegetarian, not eating beef, and you can tobacco, use of tobaccos, or it is used in the culture, particularly spiritual activities or festival. So you'll find some difference, particularly as they are mostly belong to associated with Nepal. They are more people are talking about the language as Nepali, as well as religion. They mostly follow Hinduism. But in the earlier classes, you look into the most are belongs to Christian. They adopted Christian belief system, and mostly you will not find any form of tobacco product. But if you compare between these, you will find hell and heaven difference, the lifestyle as well as culture. So we'll take 5 to 10 minutes gap, then we'll start about particularly the north, particularly when you look into Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, and how we can talk about particularly what are the tribal group, what is the lifestyle, we'll find a difference also. So we'll wait, take a rest for 5 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes, then we'll start.
Okay.
Welcome. 1 second. So, Hussein and Suvangi, actually, when you look into the travel studies, so according to geographical region, you will find the difference. If you look into the central India, if you look into the South India, if you look into the particularly North or Northeast India, it is based on geographical region and the way they migrated. If you look into particularly South part of India, particularly, you will find the Dravidian language. But when you look into the north, it is mostly Indo-Aryan. When you to look into the particularly northeast, it is mostly Mongolian. Okay, so you will find a different forms of language as well as different forms of culture as well as the racial feature. When you talked about race particularly, when you talked about प्रजातिगत जो हम डिफरेंस बोलते हैं ना so उसमें आपको फेशियल स्ट्रक्चर हेयर कलर बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर हेड साइज height as well as means every part of the body they count differently on the basis of race so when you talked about mongoloid race when you talked about particularly Dravidian race, you will find a different complex. So accordingly, on the basis of geographical region as well, you will find the lifestyle, the occupation is different. Like if you look into the even northeast, you will find difference. Na? One part of the northeast people mostly actually converted to Christian, and they are following the Indo-Burman language. But here, in particularly Tripura and Sikkim, you will find a much more influence of Nepali language. So you will find means if you are sharing border with any particularly if you look into any state or the state, they have some influence on the community. So you'll find migrated community as well. So like in Sikkim, you can find that Nepal is migrated from Nepal, but all Nepal is not tribals. Are not tribals. There are few tribals who are having certain features they have demanded, and they get through the constitutional process. Hussein, you were saying something or Hussein? Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you're audible, sir.
You were saying something?
Yeah, sir, I was saying that, sir, at the last, please give a little bit 10 15 minutes for the summary, sir.
Oh, summary, right, right. We'll discuss. Okay, so let's talk about Jammu and Kashmir, as well as Himachal Pradesh. If you look into the Jammu and Kashmir, it is a different arena, a different lifestyle you will find, and particularly it is famous for its mountainous land as well as we also called Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir as the paradise on the earth. And the mountain range, particularly in the valley, are dense in the coast. Fine as well as fire, walnut, willow. There are different, we can talk to Twaland, almond, Australian. So the rich flora, particularly, you will find in the Kashmir region. And if you look into the Himachal, particularly, Hima means snow in Sanskrit, and it is a snow region you can talk about, and its economy, or both of the economy you can talk about, depend upon hydroelectric power, tourism, agriculture, as well as the particularly tourism, and Himachal is also to be said the bowl of the country like Assam, we can talk about they much more depend upon rice for the cultivation as well as their diet. But here you'll find food bowl. We consider Himachal and Jammu Kashmir as the food bowl of the country, and due to its scattered orchard system. And if you look into the tribal art or tribal groups in Jammu Kashmir particularly, you'll find few tribal groups and but anthropologists or sociologists who have explored these regions, they particularly due to particularly hill terrain as well as due to some security issues. Actually, it is still not covered, or people yet to study the tribal communities who have reside in the Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh particularly. And they have their own custom and unique custom, tradition, culture, as well as communication itself, and which is stand out from other tribal groups of the country. And they are believed to be a descendant of the Aryans, particularly Indo-Aryans, and the tribals of Jammu Kashmir converse with each other. There is a language, there is a common language. They called it Dongri. Sorry, Dogri. Dogri language they refer to while talking about when conversation particularly. It is a blended language. Dogri is a blended language of Sanskrit, Punjabi, and particularly Persian language. And they refer to Indo-Aryan group of Sanskrit. They consider mostly the tribals of Jammu Kashmir. They are bit associated with the artisan group, and they mostly were settled here. They associate with the artisan communities, and if you will find the difference in religion as well, because most people follow Islamic here, and though they are more depend upon particularly contemporary the food bowl of the country, but once again you will find the rice eater, one of the or the rice wheat particularly one of the staple diet, and it is once again the agrarian society. And let's just talk about what are the tribal group actually. There is a tribal group called Bhakarwal, and this tribal group actually is special in nomadic nature and mainly in found in the Pir Panjal range located between two states of Jammu and Kashmir as well as Himachal Pradesh. And Bhakarwal tribe are also found in Uttarakhand. Like whatever tribe you will find in Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh particularly, you will find other parts of the country as well, like Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and the tribal also known as Dhangar. They also refer to Dhangar, and these tribal group predominantly lives in the several parts of India, and particularly they will find in the Jammu regions, and in Jammu particularly there are a few districts you will find them like Kathua, Udhampur, Poonch, Rajouri, Kashmir Valley. Particularly in Kashmir Valley there are like Srinagar, Baramulla, Palwana. Okay, these regions you will find them, and they are found more if you look into the Ladakh and other regions. Ladakh and Kargil district have some of the Bakarwal tribal groups. And by tradition, they are mainly goat gatherer, so sheep herders particularly. So they mostly depend upon them for their economy. The word Bakarwal is derived from the two terms generally referred to. Bakri or Bakra means goat, and wal continue to one who takes care of Bakri. So those who are take care of Bakri, they are referred to Bakarwal. So it is belong to particularly goat gatherer generally. And the lifestyle of this Bhakarwal tribe also throws some light on their culture, societal setup. They lead very secluded, lonely life. Once in every year, they take hardship to the particularly step high mountains region once a year, particularly for grazing purpose, and it is mostly in the summer. And once in a while, however, they may go alone in a large group, particularly, and depend upon it is the number of particular sheep or goat they have. And the physical feature of this tribal group, particularly the male, particularly, they keep long beard. Some of their feature, particularly like custom, language, manner, resistance, man, with one of the tribal group of Himachal Pradesh, they called it Gujars, and there is another tribal group, Balti. This Balti tribal group actually they influenced by Tibetan, Islamic, and Indian culture, as well as this Sidhu tribal group lives in the Jammu and Kashmir. And traditionally, if you look into particularly from where they belongs to, there is a community called Celtic, and from Celtic community they belong to, they refer to, and it is believed that after the Bastic flood, people of the region started migrating to other region. Particularly, they have on the basis of migration, they have settled in Jammu Kashmir, and Balti tribe are settled in the Suru Valley of Ladakh as well. They belong to particularly they follow the Islamic ideology, and animal husbandry is the main source of livelihood they consider. In addition to that, few people engage with the horticulture business as well. And their culture, if you refer to particularly Islamic play important role in their culture. However, the Baltic culture, which is the original culture, is deteriorating day by day, and due to influence of Tibetan particularly, as it is a Tibetan region particularly, architecture play an important role, and they follow the architecture of Tibetan group, where house with a flat roof painted, painted wool with a white color and slopely inward are built. So it is a different structure which are actually followed by the Tibetan group. And Balti tribal are very friendly, they talked about, very simple. They are hospitable people. Their architecture, particularly language, custom are unique in nature. And the local culture is blended with the Ladakhi and Islamic ritual. So they have their own ritual as well as they follow the Islamic ritual. So they will find a blended, a mixed culture among them. And they follow this Islamic religion as we are talking about, and particularly initially they are the follow Tibetan Buddhism. Later they converted to Christian Islam in 16th century, and there is another tribal group, Dogra tribe of Jammu Kashmir. If you look into the Dogra tribe particularly, they possess a different and unique lifestyle in the valley, depending upon the religion they belong to. So you'll find both here, particularly Islamic and Hindu. And in Jammu region, particularly, major of these Dogra tribe, particularly, inhabits in particularly in the Jammu region. And this Dogra community, particularly, they have different religious sect as well as caste group. And historian believe or anthropologists believe that the Dogra tribe of Jammu as well as Kashmir is descendant of the particular Aryan groups and who are settled in the southern hill tracts of the Kashmir, stretching from the Punjab plains. And the Hindu Dongra Rajput and the Muslim Dongra Rajput are marital race. So you'll find both Hindu as well as the Muslim Dogra, particularly. 1 minute. If you look into the particularly art, culture, and music, religion, both Hindu and Muslim, you will find among them, as well as if you talked about folk culture, they are composed of prose and verse. Dogra folk song range from love to heroism and sacrifice. They generally make true stories, and particularly the likelihood of different ceremony or festivals, particularly analyze how human interact with a different individual, different society, and there is a festival called Biyan, okay, and it is song to celebrate the birth of male child and indicate a gender bias. So there is no festival for the female child, birth of a female child, and family they drop the lectures of pertinent to household members depending upon mother or father so every songs or festival has some important lectures and which has been followed. And if you look into the marriage among Dogras, some Dogras still follow different type of marriage, and which is they called referred as Dohri or double. Dohri means take a daughter, give them your daughter. Means it is the exchange form of marriage. Like they have to follow Gotra and Kuro Itsugami. Means if you are marrying someone, you have to follow the Itsugami or you have to uh, follow the double exchange of marriage where if you are marrying someone in someone's sister and your sister should be married to her brother like that. And there is a marrying system, they refer to it's Chadarpana, and marrying the brother of husband or by widow, husband of widow. is also found in Jammu, and child marriage was common among the Dogras. And Dogra cuisine basically focused on the rice and particularly rice. And there is a favorite dish they called madra. So it is one of the which is cooked from the milk actually, as well as they mix some dry fruits, so as well as semolina. Okay, so different. It is a you can talk about soft drink. Okay, as well as the clothing system. If you look into the Dogras have very simple dress system, dress pattern that incorporates the long kurtas and pajama, what we call, with a tight fitting ankles they talked about, and women wear tight body or you can talk about jumpers over the pajamas that resemble that main form. So similar type of clothing system they have. But there is another type that's they refer to Sangpa type, Sangpa. And these tribal communities settle in different parts of Jammu as well as Kashmir state. And the Chamka tribe prefer to adapt to nomadic life or the traditional lifestyle. In both state, actually, Champa tribal communities found several places of the particularly Changtang Plateau is there in the Ladakh range, and there you will find all the tribal group. And this Champa tribe is yet another tribal community from the Jammu and Kashmir who have enlisted legally, means they don't have earlier they did not consider as a tribal group. People did not consider, or government did not consider, but with their features, day-to-day activities, they enlist themselves legally, the legal battle as a tribal group in India. And the main occupation of this Champa tribal community is animal husbandry. So if you look into the tribal history, most of the tribal group, uh, their occupation actually animal husbandry. Just like many other tribal community, Champa tribal community engage themselves with the cultivation as well. So cultivation as well as animal husbandry, they are the two major occupation. And this Champa tribal group mostly cultivate barely or many of them base sustain their livelihood, but very few times they cultivate their land. And but they mostly engage within the trading activity of the foods as well as particularly they associated with the animal husbandry trading. So some of this Champa tribe actually also gathers salt from the northern shore of the Tuskar Lake. There is a lake, Tuskar Lake, and in which is located in the Ruspa region, and sell it to the Ladakh area. So there are some people they engage in the particularly engage in the particularly lake, particularly that what we call uh, uh, gather the salt from the lakes, and they also rear cattle, which is one part of animal husbandry as well as the goats. So generally, if you look into this, whether it's Jammu or Kashmir, mostly animal husbandry is the major form of occupation they follow. And the total population of this Champa is very less, and approximately cannot be made as they generally live in the high altitude they talked about, and it is very difficult to contact them. So that's why there are very, there are good number of tribal groups who live in interior regions of the east, but it is very difficult to locate them till now. So there are they talked about however while Champa is generic term they refer to, they are not a single homogeneous term. There is a heterogeneous. They have different subgroups, and their groups are divided on the place of origin where they have origin, each having own chief. So every group has its own chief, the head you can talk about, and the chief is decided on the basis of grazing lands. Those areas they have acquired for the grazing their particularly animals, okay, or domestic animals. So the culture and traditional particular activities of this Chenka tribe particularly is also quite high. That is evident in several aspects like housing, dance, music, festival, or even talk of language as well. So this community prefer to reside in the beautiful tent, or their houses are so beautiful they're nicely prepared with the particularly. hairs of the goats or yaks. So their houses are different from other tribal group you can find because it is a fascinated way, they particularly arranged with the hair of its and the goats. And like many tribal group in these regions, these Changpat communities, who is widely oriented towards religion and spirit, they believe in particular spirituality, and they have their own custom. And these tribes still retain their heritage of observing local religious rituals and customs, the traditional rituals and customs, and they have their local deities goddess on the basis of different functions like for food, for peace, for war, for particularly welfare of the community. They have different lords or the gods and goddesses, and which is also tradition. They did not particularly mostly this tribal group actually converted to other religions. They follow mostly Buddhism, you will find. And beside that, there are some tribal peoples of this community. They also follow the Islamic culture, Islamic belief system. And for these Songpas, their livestock are sacred animals they talking about. Means they worship their livestock, animals, they domestic animals, and they consider that within them there is a god, and the families select animals to they represent their hierarchy. So it is they give more importance to animal in every field of their life, and the selected animal are often male, whether it is male or particularly female, but they give more importance to the while selecting animal. Particularly, they given more importance to female, and particularly they select on the basis of their strength and color. And hierarchy, when you talked about, particularly we are arranging different, particularly animals in different way. So which is more important, which is less important, it is come up with particularly those who are male first, second, which is their strength and color. And the strong animal actually with well-shaped horns are preferred in the selection process. And the chakpas use animal to invoke the blessings of God. So generally, animal plays an important role in the day-to-day as well as cultural activity. And those who are wealthy people in the Changma particularly, group, they have they consider wealth refers to those who have good number of animals, domestic animals, whether it is sheep, whether it is goat, whether it is yak, or whether it is male or female. Though in selection they prefer male, but those who have large number of the animals or domestic animals, he or she is the wealthy person in that village. So generally, if you look into recently, particularly, they keep large number of sheep and goats. It is around 1,000 animals in our household they talked about. And number of goats they talked about were less than number of sheep, but it is around 1,000 animal you will find every household. And the selected animal, those who are the selected, particularly the male animals, remind the people the presence of God in their home, and actually they help to stay away from demons or the spirit nearby villages. They show their respect to the gods in the forms of animals, and particularly as well as whether it is sheep or goat are never killed or never sold, particularly in their community. And particularly when they eventually die, particularly young one was selected to take their place. So there are different form of culture, and you'll not find this type of culture in the other part of the tribal group, but they mostly worship these animals. Every animal represent one of the god, and there are different system as well. There is another tribe they called Brukpa tribe, and this tribal community actually mainly centered around the places of what is called Dras, and it is also referred to Dras Valley in the Ladakh region. And this tribal community has also been set in different parts of India. You can find particularly this tribal group like in Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh as well. The origin of this Drukpa tribal community has got rich history behind it. It has a rich historical background. According to the anthropologists and sociologists, this tribe is supposed to be offspring of Dard of Chila or the Gilgit region. And cultural exigency, when talked about this tribal common more associated with the numerous elements of unique dress pattern, ornaments, festivals. What is more interesting to them is note here is that this tribal community follow the culture of ethnicity of Aryan group. So they only not belong to the Aryan group, but also they follow their culture and ethnicity. And the language actually they follow is once again Brokpa is their own language, and popularly also it is known as Sina, Shinna. There are some of the people of this Boka community who also heavily influenced by the Balti language. So there is three major language you can talk about: Brokpa and Shina and the Balti. They prefer to deal with all those things. And Brokpa tribal community carries several occupations like animal husbandry, agriculture, allied occupation like particularly the food selling or trading. Brokpa tribal community has developed orientation towards religion and the spiritual belief, but mostly you will find Buddhism and Islam in their day-to-day activities. Whereas if you look into the Himachal tribal groups, the tribes of Himachal are scattered around its hill regions, scattered around its state. They are by nature a nomadic people, traditional people. Their customs, social structure, social institution make them different from other region and also other tribal group. And this, the tribes of Himachal belongs to the once again what the Indo-Aryan family, which is also Jammu Kashmir tribal group also belong to this group. As far as their physical appearance is concerned, the physical structure is concerned, this Himachal tribal group actually have got identifiable feature like they talked about this like short height particularly. You can talk about the major tribes of this region include Kinwar tribe, Lahula tribe, as well as Gadi tribe, Gujar tribe. So Gujar tribe once again it is found in particularly uh, Jammu and Kashmir as well. As far as the occupation of concern, this tribal of Himachal Pradesh have taken up their occupation, including particularly like animal husband. They also particularly deal with the trading of wool, and there are quite handful tribal groups in Himachal Pradesh who have adopted occupation like agriculture, one of their prime occupation, but also horticulture, agriculture. These are the secondary form of occupation we can say, but the primary one is associated with the trading of wools as well as animal husbandry. And if you look into the dress pattern of the tribal community of Himachal Pradesh, they are quite unique in nature. And the male dress include a long coat or the woolen pajama I can talk about. Where women tribal group or tribal communities of Himachal Pradesh have woolen sarees generally, popularly known as horu or as their attires. And shoes are made of particularly wool as well as good hairs, and which is unique in nature itself. And one of the tribal group of Himachal Pradesh is the Gadi, Gadi, and this Gadi tribal actually mainly found in both sides of Dharwad range as well as Dharwad range of Himachal Pradesh. However, a quite a few number of Gadi tribe also you find particularly Brahmamur region of the Chamba district. So in different parts, they actually, particularly they have settled in two major part in the Himachal Pradesh, and they lived in high region particularly, and their other region, Kanga district, the village like Totarani, Kaniaya, close to Dharmasala, they have also you find these Gadi tribal groups. And there are people of several castes who live in this Gadi tribal society. So you will find different caste group within the Gadi tribe or sub-caste group. And mainly they called is Thakur, Khatri, Brahmin, Dhangar, Rajput, Rana. And the people of this tribal community are sub communities are oriented towards religion, mostly associated with religious activity. They are mostly spiritual in nature, and both Hinduism and Islamic is, and they are actually they practice both Hinduism and Islamic. A large section of people, Gadi tribal community actually associated with Islam. And while it will make them unique, or if the distinction or uniqueness lies among the people of Gadi community itself with their dressing pattern, and particularly which makes them unique actually. And the Gadi men actually wear a chola, they refer to chola, or Targona or Safa they refer to, or Dora, particularly they refer to. These are the major you can talk about dressing pattern. And for women, wear lanchiri they call it, and gold ornament actually, or gold wearing, both men and women wear in their particularly as their ornament. So, while looking into the Indian anthropologist and sociologist contribution, they have dually highlighted another aspect of these tribal communities. By nature, these Gadi tribes are largely esteemed of their honesty, esteemed for their friendly nature, esteemed for their peaceful lifestyle in the region. And crime is almost nil in their regions they refer to, and no conflict you will find in this region as well. And in order to meet the requirement of day-to-day living, actually, or day-to-day earning, or you can talk about livelihood, these Gadget tribes have taken up diverse occupational activities. So they are not only referring to the animal husbandry only. And when talked about since Gandhi tribe have built their settlements in the villages, and they generally lived in the villages, they are not considered to be nomads. And however, seasonal movement of sheep and goats are the primary way of economic activity. And they particularly uh, 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 the seasonal movement of sheep and goats to higher and lower pastures of the hills, one of the conventional practices of day-to-day life. And in general, these Gadi communities, particularly, or the Gadi tribal group, go with their livestock to the particular several pastures of the hills and upper region of the hinterlands. And actually, they do it in the summertime generally, because in summertime there is a lack of grassland the nearby the settlement areas. And the majority of these Gadi tribe actually speak Gadi languages. Gadi is a language itself, and for writing they refer to the Takri language. So generally, for speaking or daily communication activities, daily communication, particularly Gadi language is referred, whereas writing or for script, or they refer to Takri language. However, language had gone into particularly only a few years back. There is a changes, but Kangri script or Devangiri, sorry, no. Devangiri script is one of the major used language we can talk about script among the tribal groups. Also under the impact of modern culture, Kadi tribal have also mastered in Hindi language. They also use Hindi language both in communication and writing. There is another tribal group which is called Kinwar, and it has a interesting history as well. And this Kinwa tribal group actually, they actually, it is constitution which given them as a status of tribal community in Himachal Pradesh. And this tribe is well known by name of Kinnar. Kinnar, you heard the name Kinnar, like third gender. And in the western Himalayas, this tribal community is found in Paspa and Sangal Valley, and located in high altitude. They located as certain in the high altitude of the Kinnaur district as well. And as per the scholars of different researchers, or particular different research told that the people of Kinnaur tribal community are descendant of the Kinnars of Mahabharata. So they are the descendant of particularly Kinnars of Mahabharata. Another researchers argued that they are the Kiratas are the ancestor of the tribal group. Kirata, one of the tribal group they refer to. And the historian says that particular the Kirata defeated the Khasas These are our Aryans, one of the group, and freed away or came into the land of Trans-Himalayan region and they settled here. And another region behind particularly Jimla's such names, or you can talk about their physical features. The people of Kinwara tribal community with the Aryans and Mongoloid group. So you will find a different history altogether about the Kinwara tribe. And the family structure of this Kinwara tribe is joint family in nature. And mostly the custom of this tribal group is notable in the marriage form and they observe marriage particularly or religiously. According to their custom rituals, the brothers in a family share means according to their custom actually in a marriage form, all the brothers in a family share only one wife. It's unique in nature in their culture. Their family are polyandrous, particularly because they have only one wife. If there are several brothers, they have only one wife and practice fraternal polyandry, which is the system. And though the main occupation of these Kinwa tribes are particularly raising wool and rearing sheep, and some of particularly husbandry is prevalent in this region. Some of are also engaged in horticulture activity as well as agriculture as one of their occupation. And the culture of this tribal group particularly maintain and reflect in their ethnicity. And when you talk about dance, when you talk about singing, when you're talking about in a festival, they celebrate different festival, different languages they refer to. They're talking about the culture, so it is a mix of culture you can talk about. During their festival, they consume a special kind of drink which is actually made in the home, and they refer to Ongori, which is Ongori, and the language of this tribal group is known as particularly Kinauri, and moreover, under the influence of tribal community of the modern system, the Indian subcontinent, and different part of the India and the state, and they now have a fluency over Hindi language as well as some of educated person, they also speak English. And the Kinwara tribe have a tradition of maintaining herds of cattle in their house. As a wisdom, as to particularly can talk about the practice, cultural practice, and women in these communities are quite hardworking. They refer to, and weaving is practiced mainly by female groups of this community, and this Kinawara tribal community produce a good number of art with good number of art and craft, and they make the baskets are really other utensils from the basket, particularly bamboos and which have demand not only the local market but also the international. And so they are into the trade as well, do the business and trade. Though women actually also work in the field. So we'll find a division of labor group, a different structure of family as well as social structure. And there is another tribal called uh, Lahuel tribe, and this tribal group actually have been they have they are good, they have a good now they have a very good status in the community. They have prestige in the society. They talked about as a tribal community is great. And mostly this Lowell community found in all the regions of particularly valley. It is Lapa Valley, whether it is Pathan, whether it is Lower Mire valleys, everywhere you'll find. And the term Lahuil actually connotes refer to inhabitants of Lahua. And these tribal groups said to be the originator from the Aboriginal Munda tribe and Tibetan. So it is a mixture of Munda tribe and Tibetan. The language the Lahuans speak actually, it is referred to Patani, P-A-T-T-A-N-I, Patani. And there are alternative names of this language they refer to, which are popularly among the Alawil communities. They called it Machan, Patni, Chamba, Lahuli, Swangala. So there are different names of this language. Apart from this language, there are certain dialects of this language as well, which are also prevalent among this tribal community. Though people of this Lahore tribal community are basically agrarian nature, depend upon cultivation, but most of them are also in the trade business, and they export wheat, they export particularly export verily cause one of the hot to the Kolkata particularly, and their society is mostly, if you look into the class structure, they are of a lower class you will find, and marriage is the same clan is allowed among the Laval tribal communities. Just like many other tribal communities, the whole Indian subcontinent, if you look into, the Laval tribal community too oriented toward religious custom and practices, which mostly they refer to the Buddhism. They are follower of the Buddhism, and most of the people follow the Buddhism rather than other religious groups, religious cultures. They often visit their main temple. They have their temple actually, and it is referred to the Loknath, and which is a Hindu based name, but they follow actually Buddhism. And these are the people generally refer to wear colorful attires for which they are known for. They have different ornaments as well, which are major part of their custom, day-to-day lifestyle. And the culture and the tradition of this Lowell travel community are quite quite unique, and it is rebuilt from the fact that the plethora of dance form. You can talk about their music, their fair, their festival. It is itself unique. So they have they have so much prestige as well as status in the community. There is another tribal community which is also present in Jammu and Kashmir. It is also Gujar, and these Gujar actually generally reside in the Himachal Pradesh, and they are the descendant of the Khazara tribal groups, and both means they are the part of the Khazara tribal group, and Gujar are also known as Gujar or Gujara. The anthropological evidence suggests that the Gujarat tribe actually one of the scheduled tribe, and the major focus or concentration of Gujarat lies in the northwestern province of Himachal Pradesh. And the origin, if you look in the origin of Gujarat tribe, it's quite interesting. Its history or narration quite interesting actually. Though proper origin of the Gujarat tribe is not known to, but it is said that during time of invasion by the Hunas to the particularly a Gurjara clan moved to North India. So they once again they are the migrated, and then they migrated to Himachal Pradesh. However, there is other scholars or eminent anthropologists, sociologists like the they argue that Gujaratis are foreign migrants, perhaps belong to the group, a branch of better known White Horns. Whereas there is another another anthropologist, D.B. Bhandarkar, particularly, and he assumed that Gujarat tribe migrated to India along with Puna tribe. So there are different narrations regarding the origin of Puna tribe or the from where they came from. And if you look into particularly, there is another school of thought. They argue that it is the Khajara tribe who are the ancestors of this Gujarat tribe of Himachal Pradesh. And moreover, if you look into all the histories, and Gujar is derived from the Khajar, and interestingly, they are once again the Indo-Aryan belongs to the Indo-Aryan group and follow the Indo-Aryan language as well as and this Gujar tribal group actually has got inclination toward religion as well, and mostly they are inclined to Hinduism as well as Islamic. In order to carry conversation with a different communities, they follow their own language, which is referred to as Gujri. So they are Gujari, and they follow the Gujri language. And this Gujri language belongs to the famous Rajasthani language they called, and so it is a group of it is they associated with one of the Rajasthani language. And in the ancient time, actually, and from the tradition, Rajasthani had been main language spoken by the Gujari tribal community. Latter, it is with influence of other part of the country, with influence of these cultural tribal groups. they have changed their actually language system. And particularly, if you look into the occupation particularly, and they are semi-nomadic travel communities. Majority of Gujar tribal community are used to herd animals like sheep, means they also follow the animal husbandry. The Gujarat tribes migrate from plain to the upper range of Himachal Pradesh during summer seasons. However, they go hand in hand with the demand of changing situation. Many of Gujarat tribes were contemporary period. The present have various occupation. They go into business, they go into cultivation, they go into particularly basket making as well. And the colorful, particularly, if you look into the dress pattern, you'll find very colorful in nature, as well as, however, Gujarat female beauty is greatly enhanced by their clothes actually. And what they call is the dupatta, which is a common name in modern time. And it looks like a sawl they called. Also, these Gujarat tribal females are very fond of jeweler as well as this female is fascinated about necklace, so they're more interested to these ornaments as well. And while talking about it is a religious significance we talked about. Every jewelry has a religious significance, and the social structure to follow the trend of almost tribal communities of Indian means the social structure of this tribal community are mostly found in the Indian subcontinent. And the patriarchal norms are prevalent in these societies. Patriarchal, patrilocal, patrilineal structures. And this Gujarat also very much family oriented. And it is Gujarat tribal female who has duty and responsibility fulfilling all the household activities. So once again, you'll find some of the forms of gender biasness in this community. Whereas if you look into their festivals or fairs, rituals, they are part and parcel of their everyday activity for the lifestyle of the Gujarat community. Apart from celebrating all the festival of national significance, uh, these Gujaratis who have their own belief system, custom, which is derived from Hinduism as well as Islamic in nature. And there is another if you look into the Kashmir and the Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh particularly, and you find a scattered form of nature, as well as if you look into, there is a lack of data actually. There are still good number of tribal groups. Still, it is unexplored by our social scientists due to lack of terrain and lack of communication. You can talk about. A rural section of tribal society population depend upon the animal husbandry actually, and it is particularly they are into trade as well as in woolen sector, as well as if you look into their housing structure is quite different. It is influenced by particularly Tibetan architecture, as well as particularly agriculture and horticulture is secondary forms of occupation you will find among these peoples, and particularly they are more towards their animals. One of the tribe talked about they worship their animals, they give importance to their animals, as well as if you look into particularly typically Indian tribal societies possess their own set of language. So these tribal group have their own set of languages which are generally unwritten and they spoke different language. But look into now particularly if you compare between the northeast as north tribal community, you'll find a hell and heaven difference in forms of their particularly dress pattern, in forms of their food, in forms of their occupation. You will not find any similarity. Okay, and particularly the number of tribes always speak a common language in these particularly north tribal communities. And if you look into particularly Kashmir, Jammu, and particularly Himachal Pradesh, they are belong to Indo-Aryan group actually. So you'll find some of the resemblance with the community. However, there is a hill and heaven difference between the north as well and northeast tribal communities. So, any doubt? Next class, we'll discuss about particularly tribes of Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, and Uttar Pradesh, and some of the contemporary issues with the tribal society, like displacement, migration. Because displacement is one of the important aspects because most of the government development project, whether it is dam, whether it is a infrastructure project, whether it is a hydro power project, whether it is a particularly a mining project, okay, all and all, or it is a highway project as well. You'll find it is established in the travel region because travel region are the resource rich in nature. You'll find all the coal, all the iron, all the bauxite, all the particularly mineral in the tribal and hilly region, and where most of the tribals reside. So for that reason, there are different rehabilitation and resettlement policy to uh, displace the tribals to one location to other. In the process, they actually lost their religion, lost their culture, lifestyle, occupation, and it make more bring more poverty among them. And one other term, if you look into the particular two regions, north and northeast, most of the tribal communities have migrated. So displacement and migration have an important place in the lives of tribals. Or while we are studying tribals, we have to look into the displacement because displacement is not only we are displacing them from one place to other, we are displacing from tribal community from their homeland, from their land, from their common property resources, from their occupation, from their learning, from their particularly religion, from their particularly education, traditional knowledge, everything. So when they settle somewhere in a new place, it is very difficult to cope up with because you will not find any agricultural places, you will not find any forest. So because they don't have any knowledge on other informal sector, they have knowledge about particularly forest and its resources. They have traditional knowledge, so they can give particularly beyond or their livelihood from the forest. So if they don't have forest, they don't have land, it is very difficult to then cope with the modern social setup. And as well at the same time, when there's settle in a new place, they have to source for job, they have to migrate from the urban area. So with a new environment, the total lifestyle has been devastated. If you look into the major cities, like you can talk about Mumbai, you can talk about large major cities, you'll find some of the basti slums that is fully a tribal slums. They have been evacuated from somewhere, but they have settled here for their daily activity, for their to fulfill their livelihood activity. As a result, we look into the impact of particularly globalization, modernization, scientific culture, how it is impacting the tribal society or the tribal culture as such. If you look into the globalization, yes, different tribal group of North, particularly from us, Sikkim or sorry, from Jammu Kashmir or Himachal Pradesh, they are into the trade. They are sending their products to the different parts of the country as well as from the particularly if you look into the now there is Amazon, there are Flipkart, they can part of that, they can send anywhere in the world. So in that context, it is impacting the culture as well, impacting their lifestyle. And when you talk about culture, there is a concept of I think you heard of particular Sanskritization. People are now particularly following different cultures of higher caste, different cultures of those who are renowned persons, renowned groups, so that they can match with them. They can improve their status, their prestige in society. That's a challenging thing because this tribal community have their own uniqueness in the forms of culture, lifestyle, food. You can talk about festivals. So now government has doing revamping actually their culture and lifestyles, but still it is the impact of modern technology, modern. You can talk about modern system, which are actually impacting these tribal communities in different ways. And what we are talking about today is particularly dam or the temple of modern India you have talked about. And these are the dam hydropower projects, some companies who are establishing different resource-rich regions. Okay. So one way or the though they are providing occupation or hydropower projects are providing electricity or it is helping to particularly provide water to the agriculture field, but of the time it is impacting the tribal society and tribal culture at large. So for today it is all. Next class we'll discuss about the tribes of Rajasthan, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, as well as we'll go into the what are the impact, what are the particularly how displacement and migration associated with the tribals, as well as what are the impact of scientific culture and globalization on the tribal peoples as a whole. So any question, Hussein or Subhangi?
Sir, not particular with the class, sir, but sir, related to
Okay.
assignment.
Okay, so I don't have any knowledge about assignment, but I will ask to the regional deputy director. Then I will inform what are the assignments.
Sir, assignments
Till
we
now,
have
I
already.
don't.
Assignments we have four assignments are there. Your subject right now, North India, Northeast India, the last assignment. Sir, the thing is that I have
Okay,
submitted two assignments, and final assignment
okay,
actually two other that I have submitted. I have submitted sir previous ones, sir, last year ones.
okay. So I think it has already evaluated, na? I think it
Sir,
has already.
I have sir uploaded, but the thing is two assignment by mistake I uploaded answering the last year questions, sir.
Oh, oh. Then I will give you a number. Okay, I will give you a number. You contact them. Then they will solve it.
Yes,
I
if
think
I
it will
could,
not a problem. I think.
yes, sir. Otherwise, sir, if they were evaluated last year, I might have not passed that. That's why.
No, 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 no. Then I think that will not a problem. In IGNO, it is more flexible in nature, I think. And if you are enrolled in previous year, I think.
No, this year only, sir. July 2024. But assignment that I
Okay, but
submitted was
you submitted the assignment of previous year question.
yes, sir, right.
Okay, okay. Let me talk to officers. Then I will let you know what we can do.
Yes, sir, because tomorrow is I think our last session, sir. Then I will have problems sir, regarding it. Because 31st is the
Okay,
last day.
I am leaving you my email address. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
you can mail me. I will contact you. So in
Okay,
that
sir.
process, I think will help. I will help you. So here
Thank
my email address I'm typing. You can mail me here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
1 minute. Please
Okay.
don't end, sir.
We'll stop
1
here.
minute. Do 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
Don't end, sir. Okay, sir. It's done.
Okay. Thank you all. We'll end here today. Okay.
Okay. Good night, sir.